What is up, everyone? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Friday night, January 10th. It's the second week of SmackDown here for 2025, and as well as the second week with a 3-hour show. So I to get started there, Robin, because last week we definitely had a really big, sort of show to talk about since it was the kickstarting off the year. I feel like this episode, like it wasn't bad. I thought it flew by. I don't know if it flew by because I was doing my watch along. I don't know if I would have felt any differently if I wasn't doing the watch along. But what did you think of this week's showing compared to the first week, as well as the runtime we're dealing with?
Well, I mean, last week had such a memorable moment that it's hard to replicate that. I mean, that was an all time, or maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's certainly a great overall moment, an all year moment in WWE. And hell, if you're a certain fan, you might think it's an all time moment, right? But point being, it was a memorable thing. It's hard to replicate. I did see the talk about them going back to 2 hours in the not too distant future. I think 2 hours is better personally, because here's the way I'd put it tonight, Denise. I thought the beginning where you get Roman announced in the Royal Rumble, okay, all right, that's a thing. And then I thought it kind of dragged for a bit until the women got back involved. Well, they were involved a little bit early, but the fatal four-way angle with Tiffy time and her title. And then I thought it really picked up again sort of towards the end. And if you cut out the chunks that I'm saying drag, then you're at 2 hours. So is it possible to do a great 3 hour show? Yes. Is it possible to do it every single week consistently? That's a lot more difficult to pull off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because there were some segments of the show where I thought like, ooh, this feels like I'm okay with this, but this feels like if it was a 2-hour show, obviously we would be getting more of this trimmed down version. And I felt that way. I can tell you exactly what matches I felt that way. Both tag team matches, I felt like, oh my God, this is just a little bit too much for me when I'm not so heavily invested into the tag team division. I also felt like that way at the start of Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. I kind of felt like they were working at an incredibly slow pace. Thankfully, it picked up towards the end, but we know that if this would have been a 2-hour SmackDown, we would have got into the good parts, a little bit faster. Those were the three things that I can honestly say kind of felt like that's when I started kind of looking at the clock and going, okay, where are we at right now on this show and what else is going on? But I loved the opening of the show. I love the closing of the show. I love the women's fatal four way, the whole entire women's segment from the talking to the actual match being executed. All of that was great. But again, for those three moments, those were the only parts of the show where I kind of felt like, all right, I mean, this is a little slow for me.
Well, that could have been the show, right? Like it could have been Paul Heyman comes out, says Roman wants the title back, Cody. He's going to enter the Rumble. Then the Tiffany Stratton comes out to celebrate winning. The chaos ensues. Fatal four-way match. Then Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso against Kevin Owens. I mean, well, I say Kevin Owens slipped there because of what happened at the end against Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. And there's your SmackDown. That would probably be just over an hour, right? Like an hour 15. Throw a couple other things in there and we get to 2 hours. But there's basically a whole hour on the back end that feels like filler when you're doing that. And I don't know if LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura necessarily qualifies because it was a US title match. It might just be neither of those guys is that great. Like, in the ring, especially. LA Knight has the character and he's been killing it for a long time. But is there a great LA Knight match? I can't say, yeah. And when it comes to Shinsuke Nakamura, when's the last great Shinsuke Nakamura match? I mean, there's a common theme there with those guys. So I don't know if that was the runtime versus just the participants.
Yeah, I feel like the last really good LA Knight match that I liked. All right, him and Roman wasn't bad. That was pretty enjoyable. He had some good stuff in there with Andrade and Carmelo, from what I recall. And that was probably it.
And that's it.
It's
Yeah,
sort of
we
in
say like it
there.
wasn't bad. When it wasn't
Right.
bad is not the description of something that blew you away.
We don't need the 3 hours. Honestly, I'm good with the 2-hour show. I feel like a 2-hour show just makes it feel like it just feels right. It
Mhm.
really, really does. And I get it though. I can imagine like the pressures of trying to get in like all of the divisions. Like, for example, if they would have had the 2-hour show, do you think they would have gone as long as they did with this whole women's segment that they did, from the talking to the actual fatal four way? Probably not. And I really enjoyed that on today's show. But then at the same time, it's like a give and take. I almost wish it was just like 2 hours And if a show needed it, 2 hours and change, right? 2 hours and a half, if a show absolutely needed it. But I know it's a lot more difficult to have a schedule like that when you're on the USA Network. It's clearly different. Like, you got to have a set schedule, whether it's 3 hours or 2 hours, you got to stick to it. Versus, of course, on Netflix, it can be a lot more fluid with their time.
Yeah, like a 15-minute overrun when, like when you set the DVR and it says how you want to extend your recording, like 15-minute overrun window would be good. But yeah, on linear television, it's a lot more difficult than it's going to be for them on Netflix, which is kind of, Play-Doh for them. They can mold what they want to do.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get into this show. We got Kevin Zwicker, by the way, who says Cena and OTC should be in the final four of the Rumble. I can't imagine that they won't be. And let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Kevin Zwicker kind of kicks us off with what we saw with the opening of the show, which was Paul Heyman and the Cody Rhodes segment. And it was so fun. It was actually kind of sad because in the beginning, Robin, when Paul Heyman was talking about Roman Reigns and this and that, I was like, is Roman Reigns going to appear on this show tonight? Because for a second, it kind of felt like he was about to introduce Roman Reigns, but then he goes, well, I got a message from Roman Reigns that I'm going to share. And I'm thinking, oh, I feel so bad for the Portland crowd, thinking like for a split second that they might get to see Roman Reigns, but they got to see Cody Rhodes. So that's nice. But the real big gist of this is Paul Heyman puts over Cody Rhodes for helping out Roman Reigns on the Raw show. And he basically says, Roman Reigns got his Ulafala back and now he wants his championship back. So I'm here to let you guys know that Roman Reigns has declared himself into the Royal Rumble. So there you go. Where we're at right now, Robin, of who's going to be in this Rumble that we know of: Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk. Those are I'm not missing anyone, am I? Those are the three names that we know for sure are going to be in the Rumble.
Well, yeah, Kevin had said the two of the final four. That's three of the final four right there. Book it, right? But barring something totally unexpected happening, I think those three are the three of the final four. And more importantly, though, when you just list off those names, I don't think Roman Reigns has been in the Royal Rumble for a long time.
I think it's been like 5 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute. John Cena obviously had a memorable Rumble return and has been there, and Punk was at the end last year. But that's the most star-studded Royal Rumble in recent times. A lot of times, I think in recent years, some of the matches at the Rumble have been stacked to the point where those participants were then not involved in the actual Rumble match itself. But I'm trying to remember the last time the headline star power for the Royal Rumble was as big as it is. I mean, when you're talking Roman Reigns is the number one guy since 2020, let's say, right? Of this decade. John Cena is the number one guy of probably the 2010s, right? And CM Punk is the biggest wild card really during that entire time period as well. So you throw that combustible aspect of what Punk brings, obviously Cena, and it makes sense for him to want to go into the Royal Rumble. I liked his promo on Raw. I liked the little bait and switch he did with the, I haven't really deserved it, but there's one way you can do it. Enter the Rumble and I'm going to win it. And then Roman declaring, or through Paul Heyman declaring, that he wants to get his title back and doing it through the Rumble. So there's and even when Punk was calling people out the other night, right? Like, I'm going to win the Rumble because I'm coming for your title. So you've got bona fide stars who are all calling their shot about winning the Royal Rumble. And you just know they're going to be standing there in various sections of the ring. There's going to be one other person we don't know yet who's probably going to occupy that fourth corner, and we're going to get that stare down to finish. And it's hard to tell how exactly it's going to go down, right? Especially because you have two championships now. So, you're not locked into a specific outcome and position via the Royal Rumble winner. I think all three of those guys could win the match.
Ooh, I hope that fourth person is Drew McIntyre. As you were saying, I was like, who would be like a really good fourth person in that? It might be Drew, but we'll see. Here's the thing, though, and you mentioned all of these bona fide stars who are going out there and making these cases for them being in the match. I'm believing all of them, Robin. When John Cena cut that promo on Raw, I'm like, yeah, he's winning for sure. He's winning. And then when CM Punk was on the presser talking about, him winning the Royal Rumble, I'm like, oh shit, you know what? Like, he's making some good points here too. And then today when they announced Roman Reigns, I'm like, shit, Roman Reigns is in the Rumble is no, light thing to take. This is like a big deal. So I can also see Roman Reigns not winning the Rumble. So it's the situation of which direction are they going to go in? And yes, this is like the most star-studded Rumble, at least in recent times. I'm still kind of leaning right now with the options that we have. I'm leaning more towards John Cena, only because of the promo that he cut on Monday. I think he really won me over in expecting him to win the Rumble. I feel like everything he said, he cannot win the Royal Rumble after all the things he said about, being on a losing streak, trying to get back out there. And of course, he basically set up the story and let us know, hey, I can't get back up into, winning the world title, making all of these things happen, going to WrestleMania, being in the main events if I don't start from fixing things up for myself. So what better way to get John Cena, a little dignity so he doesn't feel like he's just getting things because he's John Cena, but by defeating 29 other men in this Royal Rumble.
No, I think I agree, especially because it feels like Cody and Cena is still the leader in the clubhouse for one of those main event matches, particularly after The Rock's involvement this past week. And, we had TKO Rock on Netflix, and then you had, Final Boss Rock on NXT. But regardless, the Rock Cody thing seemed to have been deaded altogether intentionally, which was one of the matches that was in the mix. Now, not to say it couldn't be brought back, but I seriously doubt that one's happening. I also doubt The Rock is performing at WrestleMania altogether. But let's say the scenario where he is, I think it's Roman Reigns now, and perhaps he could cost Roman Reigns in the Rumble. And then the scenario where The Rock's not participating at all, what's the other match we've talked about? Punk and Roman. How can you get to Punk and Roman? Well, you can have Punk and Roman have the confrontation at the Rumble, cost each other, which lets Cena actually win.
Yeah, I feel like that would be very, very fun. I gotta tell you, man, I remember last year's Rumble. It wasn't the best for the men. It wasn't the best. We were out here talking about the women. They killed it. So I feel like this Rumble, they're like, nah, we got to get things back on our side again. We got to get people excited. And no matter what, people are going to be excited about it because the concept of the Rumble is so enticing. But regardless, last year's men's Rumble wasn't that great. I have a feeling this one could be an all-timer, of course. All right, let's get into some of these super chats and see what everybody is saying in regards to what went down. We got Blinking with Kimberly in the building. She says, I met LA Knight yesterday and got a pic with him. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, Kimberly. I'm really happy for you. That's a very cool moment, and I'm glad that you were able to meet LA Knight. That's freaking awesome.
I think she's the one that works at the airport, right?
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Florida. Orlando, I'm assuming. Yeah. That's great. Sheldon Jackson says, lately, it seems like the men's tag team division has been getting more attention. Hopefully, it'll lead to tag team title matches on PLE soon. Yes, the only thing, here's my only issue with this. And right now, fine, I'm so happy the men are getting, the tag team division is getting all the love and appreciation. Great. They're getting more time. Cool. I just want some of these teams to feel a little bit more over. I don't think there's one team that is screaming, hey, right here, no one's got my attention or my devotion as a fan like that. So there's a spot to be taken for one of these tag teams to really win me over. Hasn't happened yet with any of the teams. I need one of them to win me over.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. They all feel fine.
Yeah.
Nothing feels like this sucks or bad or I hate this. But none of it makes you feel away either. And somebody's got to come seize that. They're getting the opportunities now. They're getting put out there. So that at this point, I don't think it's on creative as much as it's on the talent to figure out a way to connect.
Yeah, that's true, because now you're getting the time. Now you're getting the matches. So now it's pretty much up to them to see how they execute. Thank you so much, Sheldon. We got D. Martin 5th who says, good show. I'll attend the Rumble meet and greets. Oh, dude, that would be so much fun. I haven't seen who's doing the Rumble meet and greets, but I can imagine that if you do it, it'll be a blast and it'll definitely be worth it because I'm sure they'll put up some really good names there. So Martin, thank you so much for sending in that super chat, man. We got Dream Ninja 77 who says, I feel like this is going to be a trend in all of WWE in 2025. The ladies ran this show, including Denise making your SmackDown debut.
Or were you in the reaction montage?
I felt so silly, Robin. Every time I see stuff like that, I'm just like, oh no. It just feels
I
weird.
would feel honored if I would. You shouldn't feel silly. You should feel look that the number you are a prominent wrestling content creator, the biggest wrestling brand in the history of the universe chose to use you as part of their programming.
I know. But the way that I equated it was, when actors don't want to see themselves in like their own movies,
Yeah,
I don't want to see myself in my own videos.
no, I hear you, but
Do you like to see yourself, Robin? Like when you go back and watch your content?
I mean, sometimes you know I
You
do look
get
in the
used to it, especially if you edit your own stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I do go, how can something so familiar be so awesome? But no,
Robin can relate. Robin can relate to my struggles.
no. But I've been doing it so long, Denise, in so many different mediums that I feel that I got that, and I got over that, and I worked on little ways to perfect and criticize myself, and now I'm pretty comfortable with it. So
Because only you yourself notice the certain things that you
Mhm.
notice. For example, when I saw that clip, everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And me, I was like, "I had to wear a ponytail that day. Why wasn't I wearing a nicer pink shade of lipstick that day?" Little
Uh,
things like that is what I think about. Although I was very happy that I was wearing green that day because I thought the green looked nice. So shout out to the green.
Well, look, people who do what we do for a living are a little self-absorbed to a degree. Like that's part of the reason that's in the formula. So
That sounds terrible.
you're gonna be thinking about that.
Anybody would, right? Like you take a picture and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I don't like how my arm looked there. I was looking
yeah.
funny. Let's take another one."
But do you not do the girl pose in every picture? Like whatever this is, there's like a
Oh,
specific girl pose
let me
that
see your pose. Do it again.
where you put the hand to the
Oh, like the
side
side
and
hand
try to.
one?
I guess it makes you look thinner or something.
This
I don't know.
one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I do. It depends, right? If I'm feeling like a little bloated, like if I just ate, you're better off doing a forward facing pose because if you turn to the side, you'll see a little bit of that blow. If
Mhm.
you're feeling a little self-conscious, like whenever I'm feeling self-conscious about like my arms or something, I make sure to do a little gap, like a
Mhm.
little this. So I have tricks now of things that
Okay.
I do, or one thing that I always do too when I'm feeling like a little like again bloated. I'll make sure to pose with my hands directly in front of my stomach so like no one
Yeah.
can tell. It's just like little things that sometimes you got to do to like not feel like, not feel bad about yourself.
Mhm.
Little things. All right, we got Dream Ninja here who says, "Oh, I already read this one. Thank you so much, Dream Ninja 77. By the way, I appreciate you. We got all Megan's faves have gold on SmackDown, who was at the show, by the way. She said, "Did my best to make a third hour worth it. I love tonight. Those Garzas deserve the W. Justice for Naomi. Otherwise, all my people won. Denise in reaction vid, I popped. Thank you, Megan." That's so great. I'm so glad that people recognize me. And it's a nice promotion because as soon as that happened, though, a bunch of people like hopped into the reaction stream. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's really great reaction, like a really great promotion for the channel, of course. But I'm so glad that you enjoyed yourself at the show. Since we're on the topic of the tag team division, let's get to that really quickly here because those Garzas did get a win. I was looking at that and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, Pretty Deadly's going to get a win. They're not going to give Angel and Umberto a win. And they did. They did. So I thought that was a little surprising, but a good surprising, of course.
Yeah, except I mean, of all these tag teams we talk about, I probably like Pretty Deadly the most. I think right now. So
They have the most potential, I feel, in terms
yeah,
of character.
yeah, exactly. That and so I they have the most charisma. I guess is the way I would put it.
Yes,
Not to say,
boy.
yeah, not to say that they needed to win. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But if I was, identifying we just talked about one of those tag teams grabbing the bull by the horns. If I had to choose one right now amongst the ones that we've thrown in the mix, they would be my pick.
Yeah, I feel you too. I do feel that. Megan, thank you so much. I'm so glad you had a good time at the show. The other tag team match was the Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under. I think people are kind of feeling a similar way here where they're just waiting for the clock is ticking. When are Austin Theory and Grayson Waller breaking the hell up? That's sort of what it feels like.
Yeah, A-Town done. We need to move on. And that's another thing. I'm not Austin Theory, sorry. Grayson
Grayson?
Waller, he had it for a second. Like he really had me. I was like, I like this guy, and I don't have that right now. Obviously, it's there because I felt that way. they need to get that back because there's another guy with a lot of potential, I think.
He's got a lot of personality, and he's kind of got that, like, he's very good at getting under your skin in like a douchebag kind of way. And that's what we like. And I feel like that's the thing that gets a lot of attention, even when you're talking about Down Under. Recently, what are people pointing out? The silly outfits that he wears. But he does it so it's different from what Seth Rollins does, right? Because Grayson Waller is that personality that's supposed to kind of get on your nerves a little bit. So him wearing these like weird outfits with the overalls and things like that, it works for what he's doing. And so, yeah, I do agree with you where I, was a fan of Grayson Waller and, the Grayson Waller effect and what he was doing on NXT. Then he was doing it over on SmackDown. And I thought that he would maybe bring out a little bit more of Austin Theory's personality. I don't think that has happened. I think them together has just not complemented. Grayson Waller has not yet brought out the best of Austin Theory, and then instead the partnership has sort of brought down a little bit of Grayson Waller.
Yeah, no, I thought it worked at first. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not feeling Austin Theory. Never really did. So hopefully he can figure that out and something comes from it in the future. Always rooting for everybody, but to me, Grayson Waller is the one with the breakout potential and is the one that had that. And that's gone missing a little bit. Maybe both of them can find it to a certain extent with a breakup now. Maybe that can be a little bit of a turn for Austin Theory to find a different angle, a different approach. But the one that Grayson Waller had, like when he was cutting the promos on the Swifties and stuff, that was working. And we need that back.
Yeah, I feel you on that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the women's segment. I'm so excited to talk about it. Honestly, that's the thing I've been most looking forward to talking about today. I'm like, this is where the action was at for me. So we get Tiffany Stratton. She goes out there and she's doing her celebration, right? And so where are we at first and foremost? Let's start with Tiffany Stratton, because I think I came into this thinking that Tiffany was going to be a baby face, and she doesn't feel like she's a baby face. She's getting baby face reactions, but her promos are not screaming baby face. Her promos are still heel-ish at least. But Nia Jax comes out. I love Nia Jax promo, actually. I thought she came in very strong, very aggressive with Tiffany, and I loved when she was basically saying, I want to kill you. I thought that was so aggressive. But I mean, of course, when you say Tiffany and Nia, you're going to cheer for Tiffany. But let's start there. What did you think of the presentation of Tiffany here tonight?
I liked it. I liked it. I mean, look, she's over. And the whole Tiffy time, like I kept repeating it. It's Tiffy time. Like, I was doing it myself. So I was pumped just to see her. I mean, she feels big time. Tiffy time feels big time. And that's the number one thing. That's what matters the most. And every super over superstar for the most part has had an edge. Even Rhea Ripley as a face, she has an edge to what she does. The Rock, when he became The Rock, had an edge. Stone Cold had an edge. I mean, there's exceptions, but a lot of them, not that she has that kind of like, I'm a badass edge, but she's got a little bit of that conceited, entitled edge, that comes off from her. But the crowd was really into it. I think it paid off what they did last week. I thought Nia was very strong, like you mentioned. I thought she was strong promo on. Not just the way she came out and what she said, but even the bit she did with Naomi, nobody cares about you, going straight to Bianca Belair. I thought that landed too. I thought from start to finish that worked. Promo, match. And let me shout out Bayley too, coming out. That's the most entertained I've been by Bayley. I can't remember.
They leave her out a lot. They tend to leave her out of things.
Yeah, but even when she had the championship, she didn't it didn't do much for me.
Because they didn't put her on anything, which was unfortunate. Like, what? Like, we were so behind Bayley.
But she had something with her. Like, she had something back. Like, she found. Like, her delivery was better. It was more acerbic. It was more confident, whatever the case may be. I thought, when she came out and she was like, I suspected you might be dumb, Tiffy, but Nia, I know you're dumb or stupid or whatever it was. I don't know. That's the most I was entertained by Bayley in recent memory. And I guess that's kind of, maybe she knew what she was about to do. I don't know. But I think that all worked. And then Nick Aldis calling the pivot to go straight into the match worked. And then I thought the match was excellent.
The match was fun. It was my favorite match of the night. It was Bianca, Bailey, Nia Jax, and Naomi. This was so much freaking fun. It was weird to me too when I was watching the show, seeing Bianca kind of take a step back, like being behind Naomi when they were doing the promos. It was Naomi who came out. She was the one talking on the mic. She was the one being mean. All of that, right? But in the matchup, like once we saw Bianca go, I'm like, yes, like this is a reminder of why I want Bianca to always, be in that title picture. And I know she can't always be in the title picture. I know other people got to get their moment in the sun and all of that, but it's weird for me. It's weird to see not see Bianca in that light. So I was so happy that she was part of this match, of course. And the match was great, man. Seeing the interactions with Bailey and Bianca, who have a history within themselves with their feud, getting to see that little moment with Bianca and Naomi, even though they didn't actually like wrestle each other, they, sort of went different ways in the matchup. But then there was that tease though at the end, which unfortunately cost Naomi the match. So we did see Bailey get the win. She pinned Naomi, but Bianca accidentally whipped Naomi in the gut with her braid. I think it was at the hands of Candice LeRae, right? She had
Yeah, it was when
pulled
Kansas
on, yeah.
came to interfere, yeah.
Yeah, she interfered, and that's how the braid ended up hitting Naomi. So I'm feeling like good about this because, first of all, I kind of wanted to see Bailey win because I wanted to see her and Tiffany Stratton go at it. I thought that she would be the perfect person to be like the first person that Tiffany defends her title against, right? Because you're going to have a hell of a match. Great. And Naomi, she's going to be pissed at Bianca, I presume. And maybe this will finally lead to the reveal that Naomi was the one who attacked Jade. That's where I'm thinking this is going to go.
Yeah, well, even if she's not the one that attacked Jade, perhaps it is that reveal. It could just lead to a Naomi heel turn in general. Could be both. But we've been talking about this a lot. I feel like Naomi feels like the next one in the progression of Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens of like, I'm righteously aggrieved in the way things have gone for me. I've been screwed. I haven't gotten my opportunities, those kind of things. And I think Naomi could use it too. Like, she's a great performer. I love her theme and all that, but it always feels like with her, it's like good. Naomi's good. I like Naomi, but it never feels like, oh, Naomi. And I feel like she has that, right? Like she can get there with a little bit of a twist. So I think the heel turn for her is inevitable and makes a lot of sense. I also thought the way it was executed was done really well. It timed out really well. It made, it easy for her to feel aggrieved. It got Nia Jax out of the picture where she didn't look like she took anything, because I think she looked strong in the whole thing from promo to the match and some of the moves she pulled off in there. And then obviously Bailey goes over at the end, which makes sense in the full circle from the promo I was just talking about, and caught me a little bit by surprise because that wouldn't have been my pick going into the night before the night started. But yeah, I think from beginning to end, from the moment Tiffany Stratton's music hit to the moment Tiffany even cleared the ring and had her moment, to Bailey winning it, really well done.
It flew by. Like, I couldn't even tell you how long everything was because I felt like it completely flew by. Like, I did not look at the clock at all once during the women's segment, just because, again, they really did a good job of just keeping you entertained by that. Speaking of the women, of course, we got to see Chelsea Green defend her United States Championship against Michin, who she's had a fun little history with on SmackDown as of late. I originally thought that Michin was going to take the belt off of Chelsea Green, but then when the match actually started, I thought, you know what? Not yet, though. I don't think it should be Michin just yet. The only reason I say that is, one, I still think there's a lot more that can be done with Chelsea Green. Two, I think they kind of need to remind the people, like give Michin a little bit of buzz behind her name. I think she should wrestle a couple more people, get a little bit more, more fire behind her, because she had it for a second. I really think that fire was there, and it kind of felt like right now she's sort of been, it doesn't feel like it was time for her to win the United States Championship.
Well, it was a long climb for Chelsea Green. I mean, she developed that character, worked her tail off, and it paid off with the U.S. title win. That just happened. I mean, was that a month ago? Maybe. So it would feel very quick to do all that work to get to that point, to then, cut the presidential promo or whatever it was she did the other day. Yeah. So I'm not mad at the decision at all. I'm not mad at the outcome. The match didn't blow me away, but I thought the right person won, and I do agree with keeping the title on Chelsea Green.
Yeah, I think like the only person that I can think right now to take the title off of Chelsea is going to be the eventual Piper Niven turn where she finally gets tired of Chelsea Green, and that's going to be fun. I think people will be invested in that, but at the same time, there's just so much more that can be done right now with Chelsea. One of the things that I want to see more of is I want to see more skits, more segments behind the scenes where Chelsea is, exuding her like she's being entitled, right? Like she can go to places, she can go to restaurants, she can go to all these places where she's expecting people to like bow down to her because she is the United States champion and stuff like that. I think would be really funny if we got more of that. So that's sort of what I'm hoping that they do, because the beauty of Chelsea Green being champion is that you can do those types of skits, is that you can do those type of ideas, that you can do some things that are maybe considered a little kooky, but with Chelsea Green doing them, it'll work. And you can't do that with every single wrestler, because not every wrestler has that kind of personality, but Chelsea, you can. And so I think that's the thing that's going to add more color and more life to her United States Championship run.
Yeah, give her some scenery to chew on, right? I mean, that's basically what it is. And again, I think she's kind of gotten that character down. And it was working even when she was kind of a borderline jobber there for a minute. I mean, she was losing every match, and it still worked because of the character. And then you really were like, oh, okay, now we're going somewhere with her. This is cool. It's paying off, and it builds to something. So you don't want to cut that off at the knees before you see it to where it was supposed to go in the first place.
I feel you on that. Yes. Terrence Johnson sends in a super chat saying, what if Jacob and Tama turn on Solo next week? Solo Sikoa is returning next week. I don't think so. The only reason I don't think so that they would turn on on Solo Sikoa just yet is that would really be stripping Solo Sikoa of pretty much everything. And I don't think they should do that to Solo Sikoa. I still think that you can do the whole, I love you Solo bit that he's doing. They can milk that a little longer. I don't think it's time just yet. Robin, do you think it's time already?
Well, I don't think you introduce that over the top thing from Jacob Fatu to then just go the other way that quickly. He wasn't even doing that the whole time, right? Like that's relatively new. The over the top I love you Solo and all that. I mean, he's obviously been part of his group and everything. So no, I'm with you. I think you spent too much investment in Solo over that period of time to just say, oh, you're done because you lost the one match to Roman Reigns. Let's see what can happen with that. And the attachment to that is also what introduced us to Jacob Fatu in the first place. That's why Jacob Fatu has a role, and you don't want to throw that away yet either.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm glad you agree, because it would just be too soon, Tara. It's a little bit too soon. Although when the moment eventually happens, I can't wait to for Jacob Fatu to be the one on top. Man, that would be very, very cool. I love how today, throughout the entire show, we were seeing a whole lot of Jacob Fatu, which we'll still talk about more in a second. Also, thank you so much to WWE 2K24 Universe Mode for sending in the super chat. Appreciate you a whole lot. It's very generous of you. And he also sends this comment saying, I would like for Bianca to be Jade Cargill's mystery attacker. Her being a babyface is gradually becoming stale. Also, as a heel, she can align with the Street Profits and help elevate BFAB. So I've kind of spoken about this a few times about how it shouldn't be Bianca, only because it would not have made sense for her. Again, going back to her having had to leave her United States Championship match. So that's the only reason I don't think it's Bianca, and why I think it's Naomi.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's either it has to be Naomi, or the dark horse would be the Charlotte Flair going back to that stare down that they had way back when. But maybe that's also a way to. I think Bianca could use something right now. Like Bianca, every time she gets in the ring, it's like, okay, here we go. It's Bianca, right? Like she's so good as a performer, but it feels like she's been knocked down a little bit of a peg from where she was, which was on top for a really long time and like legend status. And she's already at legend status. There's nothing that could take that away. But you know what I mean? Like in the moment legend status. And I feel like that has been deaded a little bit. So maybe the friction in the mix there can light a fire under her ass as well that puts her back there.
I feel it. I 100% agree with that. All right, we got LA Knight defeating Shinsuke Nakamura via DQ because, again, we were just talking about this guy, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. They came in and essentially cost LA Knight the match and then attacked him afterwards. So is this what you expected to go down?
No, not really. I mean, I maybe I should have, because they have been doing this. I guess I lost track of that in the because in the moment I was like, oh, we're not going to get a clean finish, and then I like the fact that it went to the tag match later to pay it off. But maybe I'm just happy anybody came and interrupted that match.
You're just like, as long as something happened from it.
Yeah.
Last week when they announced the match, I thought, oh, for sure, LA Knight's winning back his title.
Yeah.
We can go back and course correct and all of this. Then when the match actually started, I thought, no, this is not the kind of match you have if there's going to be a title change. So this is not happening at all. And then someone in the chat mentioned someone actually mentioned in the chat for my watch along saying, oh yeah, like I'm expecting Jacob Fatu to come in. And I was kind of like, whatever. I didn't really pay too much attention to that. And then afterwards I was like, wait, yeah, that was totally right. That makes more sense as to how they ended up sort of saving both LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. But at the same time, yeah, that is what it is, right? But at least, we're moving in a direction where we will be seeing that LA Knight Jacob Fatu match at some point. So we'll see what happens there. All right. The last thing we need to get into is pretty much the closing of the show, actually, which was the main event, because there was quite a bit that went down there. It was Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu defeating Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso. And this was essentially made during all of the interactions that you were seeing at the start of the show. We saw a whole lot of Jacob Fatu during this whole bit. Like, we did see Kevin Owens confront Cody Rhodes earlier in his opening segment with Paul Heyman. There was just a lot of the sort of intertwined there. And Kevin Owens is basically also pissed at Cody Rhodes for helping out Roman Reigns. And Kevin Owens had the Kevin is right t-shirt, which I thought was epic, because when he was making these points about Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, he's right on this. He's right on him helping Roman Reigns. He's right on him, befriending The Rock and all of this. Like, what the hell? Cody Rhodes, grow a backbone here. And so I did think Kevin Owens was right on that. But anyways, we get this match here. Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu only win because Kevin Owens comes out. Cody Rhodes goes off and starts fighting with him. This leaves Jimmy Uso alone in the ring, so Jacob Fatu is able to finish him off. And then afterwards, we get into a brawl between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes that sends both men at the end through a table in the production area. So what did you make of how we got to the tag team match, and then the aftermath?
Well, I'm gonna start with the last. I lost some respect for Cody Rhodes tonight.
Ooh, why?
He let his Jimmy Uso down.
He lost his broken big toe.
Yeah, he lost his cool and abandoned his tag team partner and left him for dead. To Jacob Fatu, to the werewolf, I mean, I'm kidding a little bit, obviously, but
he did, though.
But yeah, no, Jimmy Uso has a right to be pissed off. So I wonder if that's another layer that can come from this, especially as we're throwing Roman back into the mix with the Royal Rumble announcement. Obviously, it's more so to say, like, Cody Rhodes hates Kevin Owens on site, as it said. I think he used that term, but that's the lingo on site. I see you, I'm taking you out no matter what. But he's consumed by rage when it comes to Kevin Owens, which only builds up their match at the Rumble, the ladder match that they've got going on. But it was out of character for Cody Rhodes a bit. And I think that's a way to mix up the whole dynamics of everything when these groups do interact and intertwine, because we've seen that a lot as of late. So I liked that wrinkle, even if I didn't like it from Cody, but I like it from what it accomplishes. And that's part of the reason I guess I do like it from Cody in the grand scheme of things, because I don't like it from Cody, if that makes sense. But
no, it does. It makes sense.
So I thought that was good. I mean, I like the way I'm a fan of Nick Aldis as a GM, and a character. He's assertive. He comes out. He actually looks strong in a role that usually you're made to look pity worthy and pathetic. And he looks strong there. And yeah, the match was fine. It was nothing amazing, but it served its purpose. I didn't have any problems with it, and I thought the finish worked.
I've lost track of how many brawls we had between Cody and KO at this point. Like completely. It was funny because I made a joke about this last week. I'm like, yeah, from now until the Royal Rumble, all we're gonna see is brawls between Cody and KO, and that's exactly what we're getting. Although this one was pretty cool. I want to go back and watch it a few more times though, because I saw Kevin Owens landed. He landed so nasty, like with his arm, and it's like the inside of his arm just hit the concrete, hit the table, a little bit of his elbow, and I'm looking at that. I'm like, ouch. And Cody, I didn't really notice too much how he landed, but it was still a pretty sick spot, especially because it was just on two tables on the outside. I liked what they did, and that's what we're pretty much going to continue to get and see, so that by the time we get to this Royal Rumble ladder match that they're doing, I mean, it's going to be pretty deadly because it's gotten ugly between them. You can't go in there and I'm expecting for them to go in there and get really nasty with the ladders and really have these crazy spots and get violent and smash each other in the face with ladders and things like that. Like it's gonna be nasty, and that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see a gruesome fight between two guys that have been brawling nonstop for what feels like it's been a while now. It's been a while where they've been feuding.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're just building up to a really good Royal Rumble card. I mean, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, ladder match. Royal Rumble we just mentioned with CM Punk, John Cena, and Roman Reigns. Is it going to be Bayley and Tiffany Stratton at the Rumble? I mean, that seems like a natural. They didn't announce a time.
I was thinking Nia and Tiffany.
Or
Nia,
even though,
yeah,
even though Bayley won the #1 contenders.
Oh yeah, no, they're doing that for match next week.
Oh, they said that? They said they're doing that next week?
Yeah, it's next week.
Okay,
I
yes.
thought it was gonna be for the Rumble too, but then they announced it's gonna be for next week. So when they said next week, I'm like, oh, okay. So then that means we're probably still gonna get Nia and Tiffany. I imagine.
Which I actually like better from a storyline standpoint. So
yeah, me too.
And then obviously the women's Rumble. Is there any other matches specifically scheduled? But even as the working card?
Men's, women's, then probably title for the women's, and then Cody's match. That's 4 matches right then and there.
And 2 of them are an hour long, right? So that's a stacked card off rip though, right there and jump. So I think tonight's show built toward the Royal Rumble really well.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what we want, though. That's what we want, right? Like to be excited about the Rumble, and now we got to look forward to Roman Reigns being part of it. So it puts a lot of question marks in the air as to what is going to happen. We got LeVay Carter. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says Denise was on TV. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. I'm going to go look back at my reaction when I popped up because I wasn't expecting it. I was only like half paid attention to the package because usually when they do like replays and stuff, Robin, I'm like, I already saw that.
I missed you. I got to go back and watch it because I was, like, I'm running to like get a sandwich for the kids or something in between coming in and out of breaks. So I know they did a reaction thing.
Exactly. Same thing. I wasn't expecting it for that to happen like right then and there. I was only like half paying attention. And then I look and I'm like, oh, fuck, that girl looks just like me.
No, but that's good. I mean, I'm glad that you were a part of it. Deservedly so.
Woo woo. Thank you so much, LeVay Carter. Appreciate you sending in the super chat. Seriously. Alrighty, everyone. There you go. That was Friday Night Smackdown for today. We got another super chat actually from Day Day. He says, I like Robin. He needs a Friday night theme song. I know we need a theme song. I have to work on it. There's so much on this to-do list at this point. Robin, maybe you can rap something for us for our theme song.
I could definitely rap something. I need the beat though.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't know how I'll get you.
It's not an acapella.
I know, or maybe we'll have like a random acapella intro.
It's not the acapella for the mozzarella, You understand our rock fellas. And wear umbrellas.
Work up something for us for SmackDown and something that you can put together for an intro, and we'll like rock it, even if it's acapella.
All right,
kind of fun.
I'll make an intro. It'll be too sweet because you'll call me Robin, the original tribal chief.
Oh, you see what I'm saying, guys? You see what I'm saying? We can get something there. Day Day, thank you so much for the suggestion. With that, guys, that is our show for today. Tomorrow, I will be here doing a Collision watch along. Come hang out. Don't leave me alone. Robin, what do you got going on?
I won't be doing that.
You're like, no thanks, Denise. Don't even call or text me. The answer is no.
What I have in real life or professional life? I am coaching basketball games in the morning. But no, you can check out Robin Lundberg Show on YouTube, of course. And then catch me on all my socials and the like. And I run Women's Fast Break on SI, which covers women's basketball as well. And I always like to shout out my son, Raj, who has his Raj Talk YouTube channel with his goal of trying to surpass me in subscribers.
Guys, go show him some love. Go show Robin some love. As always, thank you guys so much. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. I just dropped a brand new interview with Julia Hart. There's tons of content from the red carpet premiere of, the red carpet premiere over at Netflix. Check that stuff out. It's all up there. Go give it some love. An interview with Tiffany Stratton and Lundberg Kaiser that's doing really well. So go check it out. Give it some love. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Yeet.